This video will contain spoilers from the off, so remember, you've been warned. The final season of Succession has drawn to a close, and it's safe to say that it most certainly delivered. It provided one of the best seasons of a television series that I've watched in a long while. Consistently scoring 9s across the board, every episode was one that stood out in its own right, developed the plot forward, highlighted blockers in the progression, and most importantly, allowed it to build to an ending that was simply perfect. But it got me thinking, what was the most powerful moment in the entirety of the final season? Well, I thought I'd call out the 5 most powerful and explain why they deserve to be where they are. So let's get into it. Here are the 5 most powerful moments in Succession Season 4. Number 5. Kendall thought he was that guy. A moment that has made it onto this list, and one that could be a little controversial, is the moment that we saw Kendall take to the stage during his keynote speech for Living Plus. I'd put this here because it was a moment that was a real make or break situation for the character. This was a moment where Kendall really needed to prove himself, and the odds were stacked against him. It was the first public viewing of him going out there and representing the company as CEO following his father's death. With Roman dropping out because he thought that the presentation was going to be a shambles, it was a moment that really made us as the audience feel as though it was going to flop too, as nothing was going Kendall's way, when in reality, that didn't happen. It was a time where we questioned if Kendall was actually going to be able to do the job and if he had it within him following the success of the presentation. Yes, it was full of a lot of empty words, but empty words are what a lot of people in those positions promise. Of course, it ultimately led to the part where Kendall did feel as though he was that guy, with him writing number 1 in the sand. Kendall was channeling his father's energy, and with his father on a screen looking down upon him, it was a powerful shot that showcased exactly what was going on inside of his mind, and also the position that he felt as though he deserved. Number 4. Shiv and Tom's argument. Now this was something. A moment that felt as though it was all season in the making. What was perfect about this was the fact that at the start of the episode, you wouldn't have predicted that this was going to be happening, as it started with Tom making Shiv breakfast and giving her a gift, but it closed off with one of the most toxic arguments that we've heard between the pair. I truly thought that there was no going back from this for the both of them. On the balcony of the penthouse, both Tom and Shiv were going in on each other and really not holding anything back. Tom was saying how Shiv would be a terrible mother, and Shiv was saying how Tom essentially killed her father, ultimately climaxing with the pair saying that they didn't actually like each other in the slightest. The rhythm and pacing of this argument was almost musically structured, and it flowed like some kind of jarring Baroque symphony, ultimately providing a crescendo where they both hurt each other's feelings to the point where they couldn't hurt them anymore. We saw a side to Tom that I feel we rarely get to see, and the performance was played extremely well. The emotions that were present between the both of them as they were quite literally letting it all out was incredible to witness, and it's definitely a scene that will be long remembered in the final season of Succession. Number 3. The scene in the conference room. This is a moment that in any other show it would probably be number 1, but faced with what's above it, it had to sit at around 3rd in the list. This was truly something. I loved this scene so much as it contained so many different things, emotions, words, and moods in such a small confined space. It all stemmed from Shiv wanting to change her mind about Kendall. We saw Kendall quite literally begging Shiv to go into the room and vote for him, in a way that I feel I'd never seen the character act. It was an act of desperation, and it almost reminded me of how a child begs for sweets or to get their way. We saw just how much it meant to him that being the CEO of Waystar was quite literally the center of his world, as without it, he had no purpose. Shiv standing there and laughing at him as he was giving off his act of desperation showed just how ruthless the character could be. Kendall had such passion and emotion, and she was just rolling her eyes and laughing, something which was incredibly sharp. With Kendall also saying he was the eldest boy, it further confirmed the forgotten child element of Connor in his eyes, which showed the clear divide that he felt. Kendall felt as though he was superior, and that Connor wasn't part of what they had. The final part in this scene, which was also powerful, was when Roman called Kendall's children a bunch of randos, something which was surprising to hear. To have somebody say that about their niece and nephew was pretty harsh to witness. It was a definite standout moment of the finale, and it truly marked the beginning of the end for all of the characters in the show, especially Kendall. Number 2. Roman's breakdown. Coming in at number 2 on this list is from the penultimate episode, and it's the scene where we saw Roman breaking down when he was giving his eulogy. We spent the entirety of the season seeing Roman looking as though he was handling the death of his father in the calmest way possible when compared to his siblings, and almost as if he wasn't grieving for him. Roman's excuse was that he had pre-grieved, so he didn't have any emotions or room for condolences. However, in the penultimate episode, we got the moment that I feel we were all expecting. Roman's implosion, eruption, or whatever you want to call it. As he was up at the altar about to give his speech, we saw that he broke down completely, in a way that we'd never seen before. He looked over at the coffin and was almost spooked and upset at the very idea that Logan could be inside of there, saying things like, "Can we get him out?" Highlighting how he was almost not aware of the gravitas of the situation that he was in, and that he didn't really know what was going on. Roman breaking down on stage was a moment that was so emotional to witness. He'd been fighting it for so long, but when faced with the reality of the situation that at that point was right in front of him, there was nowhere left to hide. It was such a powerful moment. Number 1. Logan Roy's death. The moment that I feel is the most powerful in the entirety of Season 4 and potentially the whole show is Logan Roy's death. This moment could easily be the entirety of Episode 3, but more specifically, it's the moment where the group found out that Logan had died. This was so powerful because it was so unexpected. Granted, we thought that something may happen to Logan during the final season. However, moments like this are usually only ever reserved for a finale, not 3 episodes in with 7 to go. It caught myself and I imagine many other viewers out there off guard. The intimate nature in this scene where we had close-up shots really honing in on the faces of the siblings as they each reacted in a different way to finding out the devastating news about their father was incredible. Only 1 episode before this, we saw the group still acting off with their father, yet almost being proud of the ground that they were holding and the fact that they'd managed to secure a deal with Pierce's over him. But now, we were seeing the contrast, their regrets around the way that things were left, and the stark realization that they wouldn't be able to do anything to bring him back, or speak the words which were unsaid. A standout moment in this scene was the way that Shiv handled the call. She almost embodied a childlike mentality when she was speaking to him down the phone, showing just how upset she truly was. The pure brilliance around this moment though was the fact that for most of the runtime we didn't even know if Logan was 100% gone. It could well have been a game that he was playing. It wouldn't have surprised me, but the harrowing shot of him having compressions being done was enough to confirm it. It was a powerful moment and the moment that really turned the season on its head and allowed the plot to really develop into what we saw unfold. There are so many more moments in the show that are powerful and deserve to be on an extended list, but these are the 5 that I feel definitely stole the show. So, there you have it, the 5 most powerful moments in Succession Season 4. If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What was your most powerful moment? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.